Today we are moving on to the leather stage. So we have our book, we have our bookmark, we have our covers, our spine with a little space in between the spine and the edge of the book, top and bottom. The tapes are there. We are ready to go. Let's add some leather. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure the leather is big enough. Now this is just an offcut from some furniture making, and it will work just fine. What we want is about this much around the edge of the book. Now this piece of leather is easily big enough. In fact, yeah, we could go this way with this one and save ourselves a chunk of leather for another book. So let's do this. More than enough on that side, more than enough on that side, more than enough there. We'll just take our blade and go right across there. I'm going to grab the scissors and finish that off. All right, so this is going to be our cover. Now just to double check the size, more than enough there. So what I'm going to do first, I'll kind of get that out of the way. We want to trace out where the book is going to go. So grab a pen. Go around it like so. Make sure that pen's writing. Yep. Now, once we have those lines on there, so the outside of the book is more or less here. You don't have to be super accurate unless you're really pressed for leather or you're doing a lot of fancy leather work before you put it on the book. Now here I want at least that much overhang, at least that much. So I'm going to take a little bit extra. Now you'll notice the leather kind of flexes and moves underneath, which is not the best. Again, we'll take a little bit extra. Kind of makes up for the thickness of the leather when we fold it around the cover. And of course, this is something you can do with the book cloth as well. It's the same process. The only difference is with the leather, sometimes you want to thin out corners of it if it's extra thick. Scissors will not cut leather as straight as a razor will, but they will do it a bit more easily because the leather will flex and move under the razor, unless it's quite stiff leather with a very sharp, fresh razor blade. So for this book, I am going to focus on getting the scissors to go this way. Just focus on the general form of it so you can see the process to do. And then later on you can decide whether you're Going to use scissors or book cloth or leather, razor. Experiment a little bit with the tools and find out what works best for you. What I'm most comfortable with might not be your go-to tool or material. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to do is glue on just one side. And I think I want this to be the front. There's a little bit of discoloration there on the back, and there's none on the front here, so I want that to be the front of the book. So we're going to glue this one on first. So line it up as accurately as we can. And then we get the glue Now the reason I'm not gluing the whole thing front and back at once is because the back will kind of anchor it in place, and then we can stretch it around the spine, glue it on the front, and press it in place, and we don't have any extra wrinkles or loose spots that then get glued in place and turn into wrinkles when the book is just sitting there or when it's open. This will allow us to get the leather nice and firmly and tightly on the cardboard without any extra bits making it look sloppy or reducing the amount that it'll hold on to. You'll notice this leather has kind of some wrinkles and bits in it from being stored and shipped to where we are now. So it went on the airplane and has some wrinkles on it. This is a way just to make sure that those wrinkles don't appear on the finished book. Little creases and things, we don't want those. Okay, that's enough glue. So we are going to take this book and very carefully line it up with the edge of the tracing on the paper, on the leather I mean. So we set it right down, and all we need is some weight on here. We don't need it to be in the press necessarily. Even this would be sufficient. We give a little pull here just to make sure any creases and wrinkles aren't in the way, and we wait. It has only been about 10 or 15 minutes, but that's enough for the glue to be quite tacky on there, and that's all we need. We don't need it to be really hard and stuck on there just yet. It will be soon. So let us get some glue on the rest of this. We don't need to go too crazy with our amounts. A little bit will go a fairly long way, especially since I put this in the water and it's probably quite wet. That'll help. PVA glue is water-based, so a little bit of water in your glue isn't going to cause any problems. It might increase the drying time a little bit. That might even be something you want. I'm staying inside the lines. It's no big deal if it gets a little bit outside the line, or even if it's not quite to the edge of the line. It doesn't matter, as long as it's quite close. I try and be accurate just as a matter of policy and practice. Put some down the spine. I'm not really moving the book because the part that I pre-glued that's sitting there, I don't want it to tear away. The back of the book there, I want it to stay in its tacky position that it's in right now. Probably be all right even if I move the book around a little bit, but no point in risking it and having to start back a step or two. A little bit of glue got on there. Again, that's not a big deal. If it even touches, it'll pull apart very easily, because all we are going to do is now take this, we pull it that way and then up and around, just so we get the spine on there really well. And then we come down and get the front, and we kind of pack it down. So what we're going for is a nice little press on the spine. I can pinch there and make sure the spine is smooth, the sides are smooth. We don't want any of those creases to show up. You see how smooth that's getting now? We'll get our drying rack, flatten this out. There we go. This will be the front, if you remember. Nice and clean look. Slide this into our drying rack. That'll help flatten it out as well. So it's centered now. It's right about here. Give it a press. There we go. We have a nice, solid press in there. No wrinkles on the spine is a good indicator, not a guarantee, but a good indicator that the rest of it is quite flat as well. Now I'm going to, using opposite corners, I am going to tighten this up even further, just to make sure we have a nice smooth connection. Now I know from experience with this particular leather and this particular board that when I go to take this off, it's going to stick to it. It's not a big deal. You can put tissue paper in there if you don't want it to stick. It's not going to tear any of the leather off or damage anything. It'll just mean it takes a little bit of convincing to get it to come off. So we have the leather glued around the outside, and the next little bit is where the skill comes in, and potentially a bit of frustration, but also a lot of satisfaction. We'll do that next.